Hey everyone, thanks again for joining me for this video. In my last videos, I showed us how to create conversion tracking software so that we can see the fruits of our labors. In this video, I'm going to show how to visualize that for our clients or our bosses. Now I want to talk a little bit about why data visualization is so important. As agencies, whether we're working freelance or for an agency, we need to grow and build trust with our clients. Even if it's with our boss and we're not even an agency, we're working in-house. People need to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, what's coming of it, what their money's doing. Return on investment is huge in the digital marketing world, and that's what makes us so valuable, is we can say exactly what every dollar is doing. Data visualization helps us to communicate that well with our clients. It's really difficult over a phone call to say, yeah, so your click-through rates were a 2.9%. That's a 3% growth from last year. It's really difficult for them to take that down. Maybe they're taking notes at the same time. Instead, we can use a really great platform called Google Data Studios. Helps us to visualize a lot of great numbers, things that represent our work, and then make it easy for the client to understand. They may not understand the jargon, but they can see a growing graph or a line graph showing growth with their ad spend. In particular, today I want to show you guys a template that I've created that helps you to differentiate between Facebook ads and Google ads and stack them together to see the performance of the two. I'm going to show it to you right now, and then I'll show it to you again at the end. But here we're able to see, click-through rates, how they compare based on the trends, right? Conversions, cost per click, and then how their spend, their impressions between the two platforms are doing. It'll help them understand where their money's going and what's performing best. And it can help us make decisions too. It's not just for the client. But I want to start at Google Data Studios. So we go over here, and you can enter into Data Studios just by Googling it. Imagine that. But you get to Data Studios and log in with the same login that you have for your Google Analytics and for your Google Ads. You can create a blank one. They also have lots of templates, so I recommend checking those out. But you go ahead and you create that template, and it's going to ask for data. What information do you have? You guys won't really have much here. It'll just be these sample ones if you get down here. So what you'll need to do is create your own data source. The way you do that is by clicking on that button. It brings you to this window where you can scroll down and you can pull in your Google Ads information and Google Sheets. Also, you have Google Analytics here. These two are going to be what we're using today. So I'm going to go ahead and show you with Google Ads. We select it. Because I'm using the same account, it recognizes it. And I can link my Google Ads account just like that. Really quick and easy. We connect it. And now here are all the different data points that they can pull from. Now, Google Data Studios has two different kind of types of things. They have what's called dimensions, and then they have what's called metrics. Dimensions are ways that we sort the data, and metrics is the hard data itself. So maybe it's age. So we want to say with someone the ages of 20 to 25, how many clicks do they have? So we use a dimension to help us sort that, and then we go ahead and click on clicks. So just kind of understand the green and the blue are different. And so because everything's there, it pulled up quickly, we're going to add that to our report. Actually, before we do that, I do want to name this to help us remember. This is the third time I've done it, so we're going to do Google Ads Test 3. Okay, I'm going to add this to reports. Okay, we've got this added, but we also want to add Facebook before I start making any graphs. So the way that you do this, there are partner connectors that you can pull data from. You can pay companies like Supermetrics to pull in this information for you. And they do a really great job of it, but there is a way to do it for free. So we come over here, and you get into your business manager under Facebook's platform, and you go to Add Reports. So we're going to let this load up. Once it loads up, there's different categories that we can have so that we can then export the data into an Excel file. And so right now we've got campaign names and ad sets. These are pretty much synonymous to the dimensions that Google Data Studios has. So for what I'm doing right now, I don't need campaigns. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it, and I'm going to get rid of ad sets. This is really important. If you want to be able to recognize things over a trend or over a period of time, like a line graph, you need to come down here and you need to click on days. So it'll separate, you spent $10 on Monday and then $12 on Tuesday. That's kind of how Google Ads does it. So when we compare them together, they can be comparable. Without this little dimension right here, it would never work. So now we have all these metrics, things that we're going to actually compare. There's a lot here. To save you some time, I've actually already created it, and I'll show this to you so you guys can see. I've created the data source, the time frame. This was from 2018. I don't currently have any ads running on this Business Manager account that I was showing you guys. So I'm going to kind of create some dummy data so that we can compare them side by side, because I do have current Google Ads running. So just be aware of that. These numbers will change. But I've got reach, impressions, frequency. Now reach and frequency aren't going to be comparable. We're not going to actually use that data, but it's okay to have it in there. Impressions, amount spent, would be equal to cost in Google Ads lingo. Our clicks, cost per click, click-through rate. Leads, if you guys remember from my last video, I set leads as the conversion type in my Google Pixel. So this leads is equal to our conversions with Google Ads. And then our cost per lead. So we have this too here at the end. They just tacked that on the end. I didn't actually click on that. Don't worry if they get thrown on the end of your sheets. But what you do is you copy and paste this entire page and you're going to put it into Google Sheets. So I have that set. And I have the dummy data put in already. Because I didn't have any leads or conversion set, I put in that dummy data, and then the cost per lead, also put that in. But so we have this Google Sheet. I named it Raw Facebook Ads Data 2. Second time I did it, that's why we got that. And so now we're going to add, we have Google Ads put in here, but we want to add that sheet to it. So we go to Resources, and we're going to add data sources. So we can see here we got Google Ads, but we want to add a Google Sheets. You can try to use Excel for the file upload, but I haven't been able to get it to work. Google Sheets has been much better for me. So come down here and you select. I've got it right here, but if you don't see it there, you can also do Owned by Me. Click on it, add that data, and you connect. Same process as the Google Ads. Now we can see all of this information. It's able to recognize dimensions from metrics. The dimension we're using to do side-by-side comparisons will be day. So we're going to add this to our report. I didn't edit the name, but just so you guys are aware, you can edit the name. And now we're going to create our visualization. So I want to do a line graph first. I want to do a time series where I'm comparing click-through rates of Facebook compared to click-through rates of Google Ads. So it already just auto-populates Google Ads Test 3 right in there, but I want to blend the data because I'm getting two different data sets into the same. So we've got the day, and we have clicks right now, but remember I mentioned we want to do click-through rate, so I'm going to come here and type in click-through rate. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to add our second data source. So we've got Facebook Raw Ads. We click here, and this is really important. These join keys, these have to be the same. You can't have any extra dimensions, or we call them join keys when we're merging data. You can't have any of that there. They have to be exactly the same, nothing plus or minus. So that's how we're going to compare our data, and then we're going to come over here to metrics, and we're going to pull in our click-through rate. So now we have our two things side by side. We can save what we've done. Again, if you want to name it, naming's right there. And so we've got blended data. Our dimension, or what we're comparing with, is day. And we're going to be comparing click-through rates of Google Ads and Facebook. But we do want it to be visual. So we go over here to customize the name. We know that this one was Google Ads. We just, let's see, it is set as a percentage. Yep, so click-through rates is a percentage. Just want to make sure that that's right. This one isn't set to a percentage, so we do want to make sure that we do that. Set that to a percentage. It looks like it recognizes it as a whole number. The way to fix that is before you import the data, you want to make sure that before you do that, you want to make sure that it's in percentage format. I didn't actually do that, so it's just showing as a whole number. But we're going to go ahead and name this as Facebook ads. Perfect. And so now we can compare them. Our Google ads and our Facebook ads stacked on top of each other. It's kind of difficult to see. Our click-through rate for our Google ads are not very good. Remember I mentioned the data right here under click-through rate. I have it set as a whole number, but these were percentages before I imported it, so you would just want to make this a percentage. So it's showing as that. So let's move this over a little bit. And so you'd want to do that to all of these boxes before you import. That would solve that problem. But anyway, so we have this side-by-side measurements right here. Let's also explore our totals. So this is something really cool that we can do, is we can see how things are performing over time. This one I'm not going to do blended, I'm just going to use our single point. And again, I want to do click-through rates. So I'm going to do click-through rates. And I'm going to do this over here. I'm going to compare it. And I am going to come up here, and it's going to be last or previous period. So whatever I make it, say I make it a week, it's going to compare it to the last week before then. And so now all of a sudden it says, oh, your click-through rate for the time period that you have picked, and right now it's the last 28 days, is a 1.22%. That's 142% better than the last previous period. But we want our clients to be able to see what they can do, so let's throw in right here our date ranges. This is so that our client can customize what their date ranges are. If you come over to view, this is what they would do. They would say, oh, let's see July 1st to July 13th. Let's apply that data, and all of the graphs on your sheets will change. So here it changed to that date period, and so did this one. So they can see all the different changes. Now there are a lot of different things that you can do. A ton, and I couldn't go through all of it in a video, but I do want you to be able to see what a potential template would look like, where you can see all of this information, you can compare it side by side, you can see how you're doing based on different trends. Things like this help your client enormously and will help build trust so that you can keep that client longer, or your boss can give you more projects. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to benefit from this, but that's some of the ways that you can use data visualization and compare your Facebook to your Google Ads. Thanks, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.